All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another 4BT video. This is the LJ that we were doing that 4BT swap series on and has now transformed into something on Coilover's 1 tons, a full custom suspension, all the works, hydro assist. So pretty cool build. It's come a long way from what it first started as. This belongs to our customers, Joel and Jerica. The Jeep originally was sitting for about 3 years, and it had, I think originally it was actually a TJ, and they converted it to an LJ frame, LJ body, and that's pretty much what it was for 3 years. It was the stock suspension. I think, yeah, we did get it with the 4BT in, already made it to the tranny, but that was about it. So we did almost a full transformation on this, minus paint and bodywork. They chose the 4BT because of the reliability and the torque associated with the Cummins engine. They also had a bunch of Ford trucks with 6BT swaps, so obviously they were a little bit more biased towards that. Pretty good fit for this project. They wanted that like comfort and peace of mind while driving across the state or country, whatever it is, off-roading. All right, so let's get started. So obviously we got 40s, Mickey MTZs with Vision 17-inch beadlocks. Tried and true setup, can't go wrong with it. Front axle's got a 79 Kingpin out of an old F250. We did a full rebuild on that, 48 gears, Detroit locker, a ton of motobuild brackets. We did a lot of fabrication and some custom bracketry just to get all the bump stops and shock mounts where we wanted them exactly. On the frame side, we got motobuild brackets. We got some other custom stuff we did. Radflow 2.0 bump stop cans, Radflow 14-inch DSC coilovers, high steer setup, custom drag link and tie rod setup, very simple. And we're squeezing about maybe like 1 to 2 millimeters at full bump on this thing once it gets right there to the frame. Super, super tight. The front suspension setup, they brought this Jeep to us with the Iron Rock front 3-link. Actually, I'm sorry, it was a 4-link and we converted it to a 3-link. We made a new upper and changed it out to a Heim joint so we could run a double shear tab instead of the stock TJ setup. So that was pretty cool, and I think that was a big improvement for the ride. Tom Woods drive shafts front and rear. The rear axle is a ribbed housing 14 bolt. So that got the same package, 48s, Detroit locker, motobuild bracketry, Tom Woods drive shaft, Iron Rock 4-link. Custom sway bar setup from TK1, bump stops, motobuilt, same coilovers in the rear. You can see the motobuilt fuel cell hiding back there. So all that tied together super nicely, drives great. Now we could get into the frame side on the coilover suspension setup. So kept to a 14-inch Radflows all around, all 4 corners, motobuilt towers. We actually tied in this bump stop right inside the shock and everything clears perfectly. And we built it into the motobuild tower, which we thought was super slick. That came out super nice. Simple limit strap tab right there. See all the bracketry down there. Bump stop pad. The rear is a little bit, I would say a little bit more, it looks more complicated, but it's just as simple. So same thing, motobuild tower in the rear, see a limit strap tab down there, bump stop can, sway bar. That's a TK1 kit, so we just mount their mounting tab, put a cross member with a tube in it, and everything worked really well. So the motobuild tower is basically, the way that we ended up doing this was building the front to the back, and that way everything matches with the same up. So as far as like why we chose some of these parts, 14s are just always a good choice all around for all the Jeeps that we build. It's rare that we could run a 16 just because of space and trying to keep things within like the limits of the Jeep without cutting the hood or going into the tub sometimes. So the front motobuild towers, where we put them with the shock positioning and the shock tabs at the bottom, ended up giving us exactly what we needed to get this thing super, super tight at full bump. So that was really cool. That worked out great. And the rear towers Once they were Frenched into the frame, gave us very similar numbers, and we were able to bump stop it the same way, and everything worked perfect. So that was pretty cool how that ended up happening. Like I said earlier, tried and true tire and wheel combo. We've been running Mickeys on our Jeeps probably for 10 years already. No issues, vision bead locks. That was actually the first wheel I had on the YJ back then. Great tire, super quiet, does great off-road, and should last a customer close to 40,000 miles with proper alignment and rotation. So super clean setup. For steering, we went with a PSE box down there. We converted it from the Mercedes box to the older style. We did a Genrite twisted pitman arm, and then PSE hydro assist kit. And like I said, high steering, just simple Heim joint and steel setup, nothing fancy. And then up top, we are running hydro boost and the PSE cooler with their PSE reservoir and all the goodies there. And the motor we'll go over briefly. We did do a couple videos on that, so if you want to check that out, you could go back to the other videos. The motor swap has been good. There has been some kinks that we have been like running into lately. For example, these things shake a lot. Like, they're known as the paint shakers in the diesel world, and it's very, very true. So we originally did the hydro boost and the Corvette master cylinder way back, I think 6 months ago. And when we tighten these bolts, we use Loctite. You could even see it there in green. And it still shook off a nut. And unfortunately, we didn't catch that until it was obviously too late. And we've gotten a crack and it's pushed it out. So these things shake every single bolt on the car. So it's very important that you check them periodically, because it will find the weak points of your car. Not a big deal. We have all that stuff through warranty, and we could just get it replaced for the customer. Quick job, we'll just bleed it and they'll be happy. But we've ran into clutch issues with the slave failing and the master, just because of how old some of these parts are from back 3 years ago without moving at all. We still have some wiring that we have to wrap up. So we left it like this just so we could figure out the AC and we didn't have to like rewire the entire thing. So now that we have the AC working, we'll eventually clean all this stuff up so that way it looks a lot nicer. And we are missing the intake, which we are welding a tab to hold it up, just so it doesn't bounce around in the engine bay. But overall, it's a super clean setup. You just have a bunch of plumbing here. Engine, that wiring will go soon. And then here we just have our winch cables hooked up, like they're not hooked up yet. Battery with the Genrite box, Genrite fenders. And you can also see the intercooler peeking through right there. New headlights. So as far as armor on the outside of the car, we tried to keep as much of it aluminum as we could that made sense. So Genrite Highline fenders, which came with the Genrite box for the battery. This is the Motobilt front cowling armor. That came out pretty cool. And we did mess with some stuff to get that to fit perfectly. These Motobilt sliders are steel, but they were purchased like 3 or 4 years ago. So they actually did not line up too good for what we had. So that took a lot of work on Brett's end. Brett killed this. I don't know how many hours he spent on this, but it looks perfect on the car now. So he basically notched it, got that perfect. He added this piece to the aluminum corners, and we just welded it on. And then he also modified this cut and made a rear bracing on the back end. So that was a super clean touch. And he also cut these steps because they were too high at the point. We had to move them down, and I believe we shortened them a little bit just to work with the body armor setup that the customer wanted. These are the Nemesis rear corners. We didn't have to cut those at all. They were a pretty good fit. And then that is their old Genrite tire carrier, which that had to get modified a little bit just because they don't make parts for this anymore. So we did have to extend it here for the body lift. And then we did have to move this out more just to fit this 40. So should be a good fit, shouldn't go anywhere, looks great. We just have to adjust the preload in the rear so we could pick it up a little bit. Show you guys some of the work that was done on this car. Super clean welding all around. Super clean, everything's welded front and back. We're missing some paint from some stuff. There's overall super clean work on this car. It was a mix of some TIG welding and MIG welding. Very little TIG though. Brett did most of the MIG welding on this car. Absolutely killed it. So that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to show you guys pretty much like some of the work that we got done on this car. We will be doing a drive around video and turning it on and showing you guys just like how it sounds and all that cool stuff. Like I said, we still have a couple kinks that we have to work out. We still gotta finish some wiring, some intercooler piping, not intercooler piping, the air intake. We gotta fix that master cylinder. And we just have little stuff we just gotta take care of, which should be quick. And this thing will be ready to head down to the customer and ready for off-roading. So if you guys like this, drop a like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And we look forward to bringing you guys more videos. Later.